Hungarian black metal hails. This time, indeed, we go to Hungary with this band, or should I say solo project called Vrag. Now, what makes this curious is that this is a one-man project playing black metal. But the case here is, this dude, Vrag, behind the band, the only member of this project, is in fact also part of two other projects. These are both duos as far as I know. So one could just, wonder why one person needs three different black metal bands, especially when they're not that different from each other. It's not like one is an emperor, another is, Dark Throne, and the third one is who knows what kind of avant-garde shit. But yeah, that's the case with Vrag. Now, the curious thing is, this guy from Witcher and Frozen Wrath, is that this solo project of his might be indeed the best project by him so far. I know it's a kind of a bold statement, but that's actually how I feel about it, giving these all a few listens by now. And these are not even like different ages so far. I mean, if you take a look at Vrag's discography on Metal Archives, you'll see that this was already founded in 2010. And since that, there's been a splits and demos, and also three full albums. Now, if we click this guy, Vrag, Mr. Ronald, Neubauer, and you can pretty much see that these other bands as well, Vrag and Witcher and Frozen Wrath, they are all pretty much, are in the same era. Well, Frozen Wrath is a newer one, but that also has decent stuff out now, and Witcher, which is also from 2010. But I don't want to speculate on behalf of Roland why he wants to have these different projects, what's the different meaning for him and all that stuff. What matters obviously is the music good. And I could say this third album called Harcom is actually pretty good. Now, I was, twisting my thumbs and, doing all kind of weird movements with my fingers while figuring out how to describe this. It's basically melodic black metal. It's kind of atmospheric, and it's not really original. But that's not a big, thing here. I mean, that's not a deal breaker. This is actually something that one could say is so-called Burzum school of black metal. Not exactly the rawest or most aggressive kind of black metal, not exactly the most beautiful and soothing atmospheric black metal, but roughly in that particular subgenre, if you will. That is kind of a melancholic moments, some melodic guitar parts, well, actually quite a few, and all that. And that done with most around mid-tempo. Not exactly fast-paced, not exactly doomier, slow-tempo stuff, but roughly in that area. Now, this is accompanied with somewhat raw end of production, but nothing like ELDR, not that super barbaric or super primitive raw output, but definitely on their kind of a raw sound, like a nodding towards this kind of a lo-fi thing. So some parts actually reminded me, Harcom. Not so much like as a whole, but because of this somewhat rougher production and also some of those melodic guitar licks. I mean, Harcom from Sweden, even if it's, more on the raw end of black metal, it's very lo-fi thing and kind of a, troll doing black metal. There are a lot of melodies, and some of them are quite catchy and nice. I've been listening to Harcom a lot lately. You will find the reason why later on. The thing here is, there are lots of similarities, even if these bands don't really resonate one another with like, okay, these are like two similar brothers or whatever. But there are these parts, these melodies, as riffs and production elements which make these albums or bands sound somewhat same. I don't, once again, want to kind of reframe saying like they're equal, it's the same, or too similar, but roughly in the same category, roughly the same box, if you will. Now, the problem with Harcom is that besides it's not very original as such, it's not really catchy or memorable in the sense of, songwriting and composition. But that doesn't mean it's a bad album. Actually, it's quite enjoyable, being this melodic and atmospheric black metal one, having that kind of nice, overall atmosphere. The vocals are pretty good. The production is very fitting, even if it's not very clean and crisp and powerful and all that stuff. But for this kind of music, it actually makes a lot of sense. So there are lots of nice things with this album, even though it's not really a killer album, so to speak. but something that I find more enjoyable than Ronald's other projects. Not that they are bad, this is just a little bit better. So in case you're up for that kind of a treatment, especially if you're, the kind of a vislusetar-os or philosophy version kind of a thing, if you find that one lovable, I think you should at least give Vrag a chance. I'm not saying this is as good, but definitely somewhat enjoyable. So give it a shot is my suggestion. If not, well, at least now you know roughly what this music is all about. Thanks for watching the review. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and leave a comment if you feel like commenting the album. Thanks. Cheers.